The if statement is a very useful formula in Excel, and a lot of you are using it in your daily work. Now the problem comes when you have multiple criterias. You will have to put an if within an if, and it's called nested if. And once you have a big formula, you will have to struggle for an hour to understand it if you want to make a modification. Now, if you have Excel 2016 and above, you are lucky because you can use the IFS or IFS formula, and this is what I'm going to show you in this tutorial. So let's start and let's see how this formula works. First of all, I'm just going to show you that here I have some sales numbers and I want to compare them to this table. So for example, 91 and above is A grade, 81 to 90 is B, and so on. So we're going to look at the first two lines first and write a nested if versus an ifs formula to see how it is, and then we can start working on more data points in this table. So let's write here for the nested if this is bigger or equal than 91, so we're going to refer it to this cell, comma, we need grade A. Otherwise, if, that's another if, this 98 is bigger or equal than 81, then it will be B grade, comma, and then double quotation, close parenthesis. This is the first if, and then another close parenthesis for the second if. Notice that here I'm not using the maximum. Why? Because the way if works is that it will check the first condition. So bigger than 91, if it's true, then it will give me A. If it's false, it means it's smaller than 91. Then if I tell it I want it bigger than 81, it means automatically from 81 to 90. So I'm just going to press enter and I get A, obviously. Let's do the same with ifs. So here I'm going to write equal ifs, open parenthesis. You can see I have a logical test. So I'm just going to do 98 bigger or equal than 91, comma, value if true. If you notice in the ifs formula, there is no false. There is a condition and the result if it's true. A second condition, the result if it's true, and so on. So here, if it's true, we're going to get A, comma, my second logical test is 98 bigger or equal to 81, comma, the value if true is B. Let's close the parenthesis and press enter. For short formulas like this, you're going to see this is the ifs formula. It's a bit easier to read than the nested if, but in terms of length, it's not that different if you see. It's nearly the same. You're going to notice the difference when we will have the whole table. So let's use F4 here to fix some cells, references. So here I'm going to use F4, 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 and F4. This is to drag the formula. So now when I drag it down, if you see, only B3 will change and this will remain the same. So let's just press escape and let's drag it down. If you notice, I have a lot of NAs. Why? Because the way ifs is constructed, I have two conditions here. If it doesn't find any of the two conditions true, it will give me an A. It's not like the normal if formula. So how can I remediate to this? I can do, for example, here, another condition saying that if 57 is smaller than, let's say, 81, I can do comma and write, for example, small value. In double quotation, obviously, because this is a text. So here I get small value, and if I just press here F4 to fix this one, we can just drag it down, and you can see that this is fixed. So this is one way to fix it. The other way to fix it is for the last condition, we can write true. And if I just drag this, it will work. Why it will work? So let's understand it. Let's go here up. Let's look at the first condition. I can just select it and press F9. You can see that it's false, right? So then it will skip it. Let's press escape Let's go to the second condition, select it, and then press F9. It's false, so it's gonna skip it because it's false. And then your last condition, you're writing a boolean true. It's as if whatever happens, this test will be true, so it will return a small value. So this is how you fix for this drawback that you have in the ifs formula. So I'm just gonna press escape, and now what we're gonna do is we're gonna do the whole table. Let's try with a nested if, which is not easy, and then let's try it with the if statement. So for nested if, let's just fix the cells so we can drag it. And let's quickly write it. Then for the last one, we can just select F. Now the problem comes, I need to know how many parentheses to use to close it. So I'm gonna try to do it. If it doesn't work, you just press enter, you get error, and then it will tell you, do you want to do this correction? You just say yes, and it works. So now I'm just gonna drag this down, and you get your letters. Now let's do the same with ifs. So here, we had two conditions. We continue. It's way easier because you can read it. You get D, then bigger than 51, you get E, and then you write this true, and you get the F. So now, if you see the formula, it's way easier to read, and you get the same letters. Let's do something a bit more fun with emojis. So I'm just gonna use the if statement, and I'm gonna insert emojis. I'm gonna do equal ifs, open parentheses. Let's assume this is equal to A. We're gonna hard code it this time. Then I want a happy emoji. So I can press window key and dot. I get here some emojis. I can just select from here. So let's assume that I have this guy. So I can select it. You can see I have selected 3 of them. So this is a text. So don't forget, for emojis, you need to put it in double quotation. So let's use one, for example. Then, just not to bore you too much, we're gonna say if C2 is equal to B, comma, Windows dot, and then we're gonna use this one. And finally, for true, we're gonna do this guy. Double quotation, close. So as you can see now, I get emojis, which is fun. And what I can do is do conditional formatting. So for example, let's just copy this, do escape. We can do under home, conditional formatting, new rule, and we can say format only cells that contain cell values equal to, let's put the emoji here, format. We can have, for example, the fill to be green and the font to be white. For example, we say OK. And as you can see, this changes color. You can add another rule, for example, if it's not going well, new rule equal to, and here you can do control dot. We can use the guy that is not happy, this one. I think I selected many of it. So let's just keep one. And then let's do a white font, a red fill. We can use this one and say OK. And you can see that you can play with your emojis. Now all this is nice, and the ifs formula is nice to replace nested if, but in a case like this one, for example with emojis and so on, I advise you to use a VLOOKUP, which is much more powerful and easy to use. So for example, let's just take this emoji, Control C, escape. We can put it here. Then we have this emoji, the second one, Control C escape, we can put it for B, and then the last emoji, Control C escape, we can put it for the rest. And then we can just do VLOOKUP equal VLOOKUP, open parentheses, the lookup value is this, my table array will be this, we can use F4, comma, the second column, and then we can use false. Let's close the parentheses, and then you can get the same results even faster. So please let me know what you think about this IFS formula, whether it will be useful for you in your work, whether you prefer the nested if, the VLOOKUP approach, and as usual, if you really like this lesson, please click on the like button and subscribe to the channel.